Pep were you to lose at Anfield next weekend, that could be an 11-point gap to Liverpool. Would that be too much?
Yeah. In the terms of Liverpool is winning, it's true. Yeah.
So that would be the title gone already?
I don't know. But what I said before, it's not thinking about we are going to win or going to lose. To think to win the next game. We are not, I think maybe the expectations are so high, but we are not ready in that situation to think what is going to happen at the end of the season. And at the end, if we don't win, it's because we don't deserve it.
Looking at the recent result that we saw in this weekend's big fixture, that is Spurs versus Manchester City at the Etihad, Tottenham Hotspur managed to actually obliterate Manchester City. And should Maresca be worried about Tottenham Hotspur? So how did Tottenham Hotspur manage to do this? So Tottenham, we know very well, has been a bogey team to Manchester City. It's one of the teams that has beaten Manchester City the most in the Premier League alongside Liverpool. So what did Ange do? Why is Tottenham's Hotspur's structure such a problem whenever they face these teams that try to play against them? We're going to look at how Tottenham tore through Manchester City, and can Chelsea actually learn from this and not make similar mistakes when they face them? Before we start, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. So Ange Postecoglou is one of the managers who sticks to his philosophy no matter what happens. Now, this philosophy bore him fruits at the Etihad this Saturday. So let's look at what Spurs did in possession and how they managed just to tear through Manchester City. So you know very well that Guardiola wants to have the ball, and automatically his teams press aggressively high in a 4-4-2 or a 4-1-3-2 with one of the pivots pushing forward to try and cover central progression. The Spurs were playing with wide centre backs, and you can see from this clip. Foden has joined Haaland in pressing aggressively high, and now Spurs have made that wide centre-back position. Now, the position of Spurs fullback was quite interesting, in that whenever Postecoglou instructed his wide players to start out wide, his fullbacks did not invert in midfield or start wide, but rather immediately moved towards the half-space position. And this created problems for Manchester City's wingers, whether they should track them so deep or they should stay high up. And because Manchester City were trying to limit central progression, they decided to just have their wide players in the middle. And Spurs created that 5-man overload against Manchester City's back line. Now Spurs create this kind of wide centre-back situation and also having one of their pivots dropping deep, so that they are able to create that 3-1 structure. Now, when Bernardo Silva pushes forward to press Bissouma in this kind of position, what happens is that it leaves Manchester City underloaded in midfield, because now they are being outnumbered 4v3. And we saw this in display, because whenever Bissouma would look to find the ball back to Ben Davies will look to progress with the ball forward, and this will leave Rico Lewis in two minds, whether to cover Udogie in the half space or to cover James Maddison. And because Foden was the one who joined Haaland, the left side of Tottenham was always free, and Maddison will drop deep towards this position to receive the ball directly from Ben Davies and immediately look to progress with the ball further, having two options, either to play the ball to Udogie or Son. And because of his lethalness, we saw Guardiola instruct Rico Lewis to stay touch tight on Maddison. And this now allowed Son and Udogie to receive the ball. And whenever Son received the ball, he drew in Walker out of position, allowing Udogie to make that underlapping run. And this run constantly caused Manchester City a lot of problems because of this left-sided overload that was being created by Spurs, making Manchester City having to switch the entire backline to try and compensate for this problem. But this further exacerbated Manchester City's problem, because now their overcommitment towards one side opened up the other side, especially for players such as Kulusevski and Pedro Porro to receive the ball, especially down the right, because Spurs were looking to overload that Manchester City's backline. This could be effected by either Maddison playing a quick crossfield ball to Kulusevski or looking to play the ball into central regions, especially for Sarr, who was receiving the ball with acres of space and limited pressure from Manchester City. And because Savinho had dropped into the backline to try and even up the numbers against Kulusevski, now the problem was up for Manchester City. You can see here, Davies has received the ball and immediately looks to shift the ball onto Sarr. Now, looking at the position that Sarr has picked up, you can see he's able to receive the ball, and Kulusevski, who is also looking to make a run. You can also see Solanke, who's looking to push forward, and Sarr is able to play the ball to Kulusevski. Sorry, that was Pedro Porro, and Pedro Porro is making that underlapping run. Again, we can see here, Manchester City are looking to press Spurs, and Spurs goalkeeper has pushed forward to play as a third man. Now, Bissouma is receiving this ball and is automatically put under pressure. Plays the ball back to the goalkeeper, and Manchester City want to force Spurs to play down the side. So Vicario plays the ball to Ben Davies, and because Ben Davies has received the ball, because of the narrow position of Foden, he's not fast to close him down. Rico Lewis is caught in no man's land because he's not able to intercept that ball from reaching Maddison. Now Ben Davies is able to play that ball to Maddison. Maddison is now making a run, and you can see the run that Son has made. Son has made an infield run, is able to receive the ball, and now Walker is caught chasing a ghost because he doesn't know where Son is. So Son moves infield, and you can see Manchester City's backline has now condensed, allowing acres of space for Kulusevski, who's making runs. Now, Son manages to play that incisive pass to Solanke, and Solanke in this position should have actually scored a goal, but rather played the ball way over the bar. Now, because of these quick shifts of play, especially down the left where Rico Lewis was caught into two minds, whether to cover Udogie or Maddison because of the overload that Spurs was creating, sometimes Manchester City decided not to press Spurs aggressively high, especially when Spurs scored their first two quick goals, because now Manchester City understood how Spurs were able to tear through them with quick instructive passes. Now Spurs build-up was the central progression, the central overload kind of play, and we know that is how Spurs play, by having their fullbacks in the half space positions and their central defenders, the central midfielders in that midfield, forming that 2-3-5 structure. And because Spurs were looking to create that structure, we saw Manchester City time and time again looking to try and force Spurs to play towards the wide area. You can see that two-man backline of Spurs, and you can see the position of Foden and Erling Haaland. The ball is played towards the right centre-back, and you can see because Savinho is looking to try and cover Pedro Porro, is now caught in no man's land because Haaland is trying to cover the centre-back. Now Savinho not being able to cover Pedro Porro, the ball is able to be played to Kulusevski, and now you can see Spurs are actually 3v3 with Manchester City's backline. Kulusevski wins that duel against Vardiol, and now Pedro Porro has made that underlapping run, and now Spurs have outnumbered Manchester City in Manchester City's final third. Kulusevski managed to play this ball over the top, and that's how James Maddison actually scores for Tottenham Hotspur. It all started with how Spurs were able to manipulate the ball and have them overload Manchester City's backline. Now, Manchester City were trying to prevent this play from the back, but because of Maddison constantly picking pockets of space throughout the pitch, especially in the wide zones, the Tottenham Hotspur's defense were able to actually receive the ball and look to automatically play the ball, especially to the players who are further up the pitch, especially creating that left side overload with Son, Udogie, and James Maddison. See from this clip, Maddison has dropped deep. Automatically, he has pulled Rico Lewis out of position, but Solanke can be able to spot the space. So Solanke drops deep, and because Stones is looking after Udogie, who has already occupied the half space position, Solanke is able to drop deep. He receives the ball because Akanji cannot follow him because of the position of Pedro Porro. Now Solanke is able to receive the ball, turn and look to effect the game. So in this position, he's able to see Son, who's free, and is able to receive the ball, plays the first time pass to Heung-min Son. Again, you can see the position that Maddison has picked. He has dropped in that midfield position, receives the ball directly from the goalkeeper, and looks to play a ball to Bissouma, who can be able to play the ball to Udogie. And just 3 passes, they take out Manchester City's front and midfield lines. Because of Maddison's constant dropping into these positions, Manchester City were unable to stop him. And this is how they were able to expose the wide areas, especially for the runs of players such as Son and the position of those underlapping fullbacks. Now, this even went ahead to ensure that Manchester City's backline was extremely overloaded. Though Manchester City initially looked to stop Spurs initially from playing like this by looking to press them aggressively high. Credit needs to go to Spurs on how Spurs were able to play through Manchester City with short, intricate passes. Now you can see from this clip that Manchester City's forward and midfield line has pushed forward to press Tottenham. Tottenham are able to play quick, incisive passes between themselves, and once they are able to play these quick, incisive passes through themselves, they automatically beat Manchester City's press, leaving Manchester City's forward and midfield lines for the dead. A simple pass to Pedro Porro, and now Spurs have moved from a defensive kind of system to now an attacking kind of system. Now they have numerical advantages, 5 players against Manchester City's 3 centre-backs, and now Manchester City is not able to cover this position. And because Spurs were looking to create these constant side overloads, they created a lot of problems. So what did Guardiola try to do? And why was his system so poor? It's the first time that we are seeing Manchester City getting utterly destroyed, especially through their press, indicating the lack of intensity in Manchester City's press. Now, looking at this structure, we saw Spurs looking to press Manchester City, but pressing Manchester City aggressively, denying them any space with and without the ball. So Spurs did this by looking to press Manchester City aggressively high, with the entire team pushing forward to press Manchester City. Now, they pressed Manchester City in a 4-3-3 or / a 4-2-4 structure. This will either be Solanke leading the press with Kulusevski and Son nearby, but majority of the times Maddison would join Solanke in leading this press. Now, Spurs were quite direct than Manchester City because they were willing to press aggressively high, using also their backline to push forward. Solanke was very aggressive in forcing Ederson to play the ball towards one side, where Maddison would also shift across to press, and they would force Manchester City onto those wide areas. But Spurs were more effective because they were able to win the ball because of their intense press, and Manchester City was so weak in actually looking to play those passes quick enough. And you can see from this clip, Spurs are pressing Manchester City aggressively high, and now Manchester City make a silly mistake in their passing area because Vardiol is unable to find Gundogan. Now Spurs receive the ball in this area. They play a first-time ball to Heung-min Son, and you can see James Maddison already looking to make that run. Son plays that ball to Maddison. Maddison is receiving this ball on the blind side of Kyle Walker. Maddison is able to play a lofted shot onto Ederson, making Tottenham to win this ball. You can even see from this clip here how Spurs were looking to press Manchester City, using both Solanke and Maddison, and also pushing Papa Sarr into that position to pick up Ilkay Gundogan. The position of the wide forwards was that they were to start quite narrow, and whenever they forced Manchester City onto one side, they immediately employed a man-to-man press, limiting Manchester City's nearby passing options and forcing Manchester City to go long. Postecoglou was not afraid to even have his fullbacks move aggressively towards Manchester City wingers, and this is how they managed to win the ball off Manchester City because of their aggressive press and automatically transition from a pressing system into an attacking system. And whenever they managed to win the ball, they automatically identified that the position that Kulusevski was occupying was quite a wide and effective position, because whenever he received this ball, his first initial attempt was to play those balls onto the far post for the runs of Maddison and Heung-min Son. Now, whenever Manchester City had settled possession in this game, we saw the tactic that Guardiola has used this season by shifting Manchester City into a back three with Walker tucking in, Vardiol, Akanji and Stones playing as the three centre-backs, while Vardiol pushing into the left half space, with Manchester City looking to try and form a kite, with only Ilkay Gundogan staying deeper. Now this was problematic because Spurs sometimes will move into a 5-3-2, but the problem is Gundogan has lost his legs, and whenever Spurs would win this ball off Gundogan, they automatically had players who would run directly at Manchester City's backline. So the problems that Guardiola is facing are not quite, are somehow tactical, but more so reliant on the individual players. Lacking a key player such as Rodri reduces the intensity, physicality, and the legs in Pep Guardiola's midfield. And because Guardiola lacks this kind of legs and intensity in his team due to injury and players who are not fit enough, Spurs were able to capitalize and ruthlessly destroy them. Tottenham, on the other side, will be very happy with the results they have gotten at the Etihad and how they managed to do it in Manchester City's home stadium, ending Manchester City's unbeaten run at the Etihad and also sending a statement to the Premier League. Do you think Chelsea will be able to stop this Spurs side? Leave your comment in the comment section area below. Thanks for watching.